I want to talk a little bit about building codes, and I want to make something crystal clear to anyone who's listening. Building codes are minimal standards. Building codes are primarily focused on safety, life, those kinds of things. Okay. They are minimal standards for construction. Chris, how many things in your life do you purchase or invest in where you're looking for a product or a service or a system that meets a minimal standard?
It's not recommended, that's for sure. Typically, minimum means like that is the absolute bare minimum that is viable, but not actually what you're looking for, right? So,
Kind of seems to me like it means that somebody can probably legally manufacture or offer it in that manner, and that, I don't know, it kind of blows my mind. So what we're looking for is we're looking for some significantly better than minimal. Okay. And in this case, in Fortified, IBHS Fortified, we're talking about people who have been studying all kinds of storm events. Essentially, they're dealing with hurricane winds, they're dealing with straight line winds, they're dealing with seismic things, they're dealing with fire, they're dealing with water of all types. So think of the areas of the country that have the most severe weather. Think of the coastal areas and those areas that have all of the hurricanes, the tropical storms, and all those kinds of things all along our southern and eastern seaboard. Look at the heartland and look at what we deal with in the heartland in terms of wind and hail. Look at kind of the southeastern part of the United States, and we know that Tornado Alley has moved over the last few years. It kind of is tending to be a little bit further south than what it used to be, and maybe a little bit further east from where it traditionally was. But you have these areas where you have natural phenomena that we need to build structures that can stand up to what Mother Nature is going to throw at those areas. And so they have come up with these standards through intense testing. They've got wind farms, they have huge arrays of fans to produce the wind-driven rain, all kinds of hail and impact testing to see what happens in tornadoes, what happens in hail, what happens in high wind-driven rain, what happens in hurricanes, and all those things. And from that, through years and years of development, they've been able to come up with prescriptive ways of building these structures and installing the roofs in such a way that you have an expectation that you're going to weather the storm. And that's really what this is about. This is about mitigating a significant percentage of damage that typically would occur in structures in particular types of events and limiting the effects of that, not just for the insurance company, limiting it for the consumer. This is about protecting lives and protecting property, and that's what people need to be investing in.
so as Oklahomans, there are programs now that do exist to help allow homeowners to make this more accessible. So you want to talk more about Strengthen Oklahoma Homes program and really where that came from?
The Oklahoma Insurance Department, Commissioner Glenn Mulready, they're looking at everything that they can do to basically stem the tide in terms of what we consider to be an insurance crisis. We have an availability crisis to some degree. We certainly have an affordability crisis. Everybody knows that insurance premiums in Oklahoma have been, consistently among the very highest in the country. And looking at where the losses come from, it's pretty obvious that in this part of the country, most of our losses come from hail, quite honestly, high winds and hail. But hail is the number one contributor to the significant losses of the insurance companies. So what can we do as a state? What can we do as communities to start to turn the tide on this? And the commissioner in conversations with other parts of the country and the things that they're dealing with, started looking at IBHS Fortified. A lot of the folks that he visited with and the people that we've talked to were in the Gulf Coast area, Alabama and Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana. Those states have fortified grant programs through the state insurance departments where they've been doing this for a few years. These grant programs create $10,000 grants in Oklahoma. The legislature approved this $10,000 grants for folks who, number one, you have to own the property. It has to be insured, and the property has to qualify for the grant program. There's some things we can get into about how that process works once you get into the grant program. But essentially, at the end of the day, the grant program is intended to put $10,000 towards a consumer's ability to fortify their roof to a high wind and hail designation. So the idea is that this is another tool and another opportunity for folks to be educated about building better practices, about IBHS Fortified through the grant program and their ability to actually be able to have that financial incentive to do the right thing to enhance and improve their own protection and to diminish the possibility of there being insured losses. That's really what it's all about.